This is the Davy knot. I don't use any other knot when fly fishing. I've tried other knots, I just don't need them. Check it out. This is the Davy knot. The line goes down through the eye of what you're tying it to. Take the tag end up, cross it over on top of the running line, and then down underneath, and then on top of the lower part of the loop, and then up through the middle, and you grab that tag end with your fingers, and you tighten from there, and you should have a 90-degree angle. That means it's well seated. The Davy knot was invented by Davy Knot, who was a member of the Welsh fly fishing team in the 1950s, and he was looking for a knot that he could tie very fast on stream, more time fishing and less time tying knots. But it is a very small, very easy to tie, very fast to tie knot, and it's especially good for small flies because it has such a small footprint. It does hold very fast. There's a couple instances where if it ends up slipping, you can just tie the Double Davy, which I'll show you in a second, but that's what it looks like. Let's get into the details. Okay, let's see it tied again. You take the line, goes down through the fly, or whatever you're tying it to. You'll see you can do this tied to many different things. Then you've got the tag end. It crosses over the running line, comes through the hole, then it crosses over the bottom part of the loop, and then back through the hole, and you grab that tag end, and you hold it with the fly. Oh, there we go. That's a perfect example of I dropped it, so we're going to do it again. Over the top, through the hole, over the top of the bottom loop, back up through the hole, grab the tag end while we hold the fly, and you're going to get a look, just looks like that. And now as you pull it down, there's something else I want to talk about. If you hold the tag end, it's not going to be seated very well. And what you want is you want a right angle. So as I pull this tight, see how that popped into a right angle? If your tippet or whatever you're tying, it needs to be seated against the top of the eye of the hook right there. See how it's coming up the top? If you see it down near the bottom, just grab the tag end and give it a little tug into that 90-degree position like that, and then retighten it. And oftentimes it pops right into place right there. So that's what you want. That 90-degree angle means it's seated well and it's going to hold well. Now let's talk about the Double Davy knot. You would use this if you find the single Davy knot slipping. Some people report this with larger flies, some people report it with furled line, and I found it with 7X tippet. And it's a very easy Double Davy, just a little bit more security. So you start the same way, cross the line over, underneath, and then over the bottom loop, through the hole. But once you get it here, just wrap it one more time around that top part of the loop. And that's the Double Davy knot, and that will provide you an additional measure of security if you find the single Davy knot is slipping at all. Still a very small knot, still extremely fast to tie. Okay, so I've showed you with high visibility line. Now let's do it with some 4X tippet and a fly the way I would on stream. First of all, in tenkara we have sometimes forward-facing hackle which can get in the way, so I like to kind of like pinch the hackle down, because otherwise the hackle can get actually stuck in the knot. Then you have to pick it out when you're done. That's no fun. So this is 4X tippet. So again, we're going to go down through the eye of the hook. And in this case, this is a sort of mass-produced hook. So there's a little bit of glue in that hook, and that's why we've got this pin in the back of our nippers. So we're just going to clear that eye of the hook. You won't have to do that with every fly, but some of them you might need to. Okay, here we go. We're going to go down through the eye of the fly with the tippet. Pull that down there. Now we're going to grab the tippet under here, cross over the running line, under through the loop, cross over the bottom part of the loop, up through the middle, grab the tag end, and pull it tight while holding the fly and the tag end. And there you see again, you've got a nice 90-degree angle on the tippet, and you can come in with nippers and cut it real close. And there you go. Off to the races. So this is the one knot that I use for tenkara. I never tie another knot. This is the only one I need. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy to learn, and this is what I recommend to beginners. Sure, there are a million other knots that you might need for very specific instances, but in years of fishing tenkara, I've never found the need for another knot. And you can see here, this is my level line. This is the 12-pound Dacron that I use to attach it to the Lillian on the tenkara rod, and this is my tippet ring on the other end. I like tippet rings. These are 2 millimeters because my level lines, I know it stays the same length. If it gets a twist in it, I'm not cutting it short. And it also tends to break. If the tippet's going to break, it'll break at the tippet ring if I have to pull a snag or a fish breaks me off. It's nice and clean. You can just tie a new tippet right there. Doesn't affect your casting. I keep all my level lines on these spools. So this one is 325 centimeters. And there's the Davy Knot connected to the 12-pound Dacron, which really does a good job holding on to the Lillian. And then I'll show you right now how you would tie it onto this tippet ring on the end. So I've got a 2 millimeter tippet ring, and I'll use the high visibility line again. There's already a Davy knot on that side, and we'll do another one right now. We'll come down through the middle of the tippet ring, grab that tag end, come up and over on top, underneath the running line, over on top and underneath the bottom part of the loop, grab the tag, pull tight, and again you see it's not at a 90-degree angle yet, so as we tighten it up that one's snapped in. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes you have to grab this tag and pull it into a 90-degree angle so that it sits on the top of the ring. See how the tag is coming off the top of the ring? It's not down underneath. That's what you want. These knots have never failed me. The only time is what I mentioned before, when I had 7X tippet on and it was a certain fly and the knot would slip and I just did a double Davy. There was no problem. So that's what my tippet ring connection looks like, except the yellow line would be tippet. And it always holds nice and fast. A couple other notes. This knot does not need lubrication when you tighten it. It's so small, that's just never a problem. You can also use hackle pliers to tie this knot quickly and easily. You just follow the same path with the pliers attached to the tag end. Another advantage is you can tie this with a tiny amount of tippet. You're not losing any tippet on the tag end. Because you're gripping the tag end right there, you can tie this knot and almost not even need to clip it. I'll end by showing you the double Davy one more time. So we go down through the eye, pull up the tippet, or whatever the line is, over the top, into the middle, over the bottom, into the middle, and then once you have it there, you go over the top once more, and then back through the middle. And there you go. And here's a good example of some of the hackle getting caught in the knot. That's why I like to hold it back in the beginning, but you can also pick it out with a hook or the eye, something that's small. You can just pull it out and then just retighten your knot a little bit. There we go, and I've got a 90-degree of the tag end coming off, nestled right against the eye of the hook, and that's what we want. There you go. That's my one knot for tenkara. One knot to rule them all, one knot to find them, one knot to bring them all, and in the darkness, bind them. Sorry about the Lord of the Rings references. My son and I are reading those books, but hope you enjoyed it. That's the Davy knot. It is great. Use it. Love it. It won't let you down. I promise.